Episode 3603, From Takers to Givers.
Moms, it's time to rediscover, rejuvenate, and renew who you are in mind, body, and spirit. Welcome to Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie, the show to help you do just that. Here's your host, certified life coach, personal trainer, and nutritionist, Kristianne Wargo.
Happy day. I hope you're having a fabulous week. Do you know what today is? Oh, it's Friday. And that means we get to celebrate the end of the week, the beginning of the weekend, and birthdays too. Yes, I just want to wish my good friend, mentor, and coach, Carrie Oberbrenner, a happy 48 years. Oh, Carrie Oberbrenner, I am excited for you. And more importantly, how you honor our beloved Dan Miller. You know, life is very, very short. And sometimes we get caught up in all the commotion. I want you to pause today. It is Confession Day, from takers to givers. For those of you who are brand new to Create Your Now, welcome to this incredible family. I'm so delighted of your presence. If you already had the opportunity, you want to head on over to createyournow.com, where you can learn more and sign up for the Kisses newsletter. They keep it simple strategy, everyday solutions to live, love, and impact. Well, this episode is brought to you by AIM, inspiring connection and community. Well, how are you doing with Christmas? Is your Christmas tree up? Or are you one who goes out and you cut down your own evergreen and you bring it in, but you only do it like a couple weeks before Christmas? Honestly, I don't think we've ever cut down our own tree, if my memory serves me correctly. We have always gotten fresh trees when I was growing up. But since I became a mama, oh yeah, fresh pins and needles, yeah, not my idea of fun. I love the smell, but I do not like the cleanup. And having 5 kids, oh dear, disaster all the time. And sometimes you just have to learn how to manage chaos. Yeah, it's called flexibility, adaptability. And sometimes in this magical season of Christmas, where our hearts are full of joy and our homes are adorned with lights, it's a perfect opportunity to reflect on the true essence of giving. We love to give, but what about our kids? It's growing your kids from takers to givers. You know, just as God selflessly gave the greatest gift of his son, Jesus Christ, to the world, we as parents can teach our children the transformative power of generosity and service. We get to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and we get to show that to our kids so that when they grow up and they go out into the world that they touch, their impact is even greater than our own. It's amazing that when we find ourselves in the season of Christmas and the holidays and the hustle and bustle and the tinsel and the ornaments and, right? All the things, the list gets longer and longer. We get a little tired. And in that tiredness, we become a little bit selfish. And unfortunately, sometimes that is what comes through. And I know I can be that way too. It's like, I just need some time. That time may be just 20 minutes in the shower, but that time is coveted, right? It's like, I've got to have a breather. But we also have to understand it from the aspect of, how are we showing our kids? How are we showing up in the spirit of Christmas? And how we're supposed to be teaching them of how God showed up for us. Let us guide our children on a journey from being takers to becoming givers, mirroring the ultimate act of love and sacrifice demonstrated by Jesus when he walked this earth. Oh, my friend, Christmas is a time to celebrate the gift of love through giving. And by nurturing a spirit of generosity in our children, we not only honor the true meaning of the season, but also embody the selfless nature of God's love. It's all about how you give the gift of giving. That is your Kiss to Keep It Simple strategy. Give the gift of giving. You know, I mentioned at the very top of this episode, and a shout out to Carrie Oberbrenner, who's a good friend of mine. He's turning 48. And that number is very important to us, who we have a great friend and mentor who passed away earlier this year in January. And his name was Dan Miller. And he was truly a man who gave. He would have given you the shirt off his back, even if it was below 0 degrees. I kid you not. That was the generous man. That was a generous heart. And when I think about the spirit of Christmas, that's really what we need to be doing. I walked into a grocery store a couple days ago, and I had to go run and get a couple things for my son. And I really, honestly, I didn't want to go. I didn't. Who wants to always go? And you're like, you don't want to go. You have 20,000 other things that really need your attention. And this one interruption it just distorts your whole day. It disrupts it. You're like, I'm off track now. But somehow you do it anyway. So I went into the store, and as I was entering the store, of course, I was met by this sweet man in a red apron with his bell. Yes, the red kettle. And they're out there all the time. But it's interesting, about 2 weeks ago, before that, my youngest son was with me, and he said, Mom, when do you think they're going to have the red kettles out again? He was already preparing that we needed to give. And it was something that when my kids were little, they each had the opportunity to give into that little red kettle. It didn't matter how stretched we were from one paycheck to the next. It didn't matter if I was exhausted. It didn't matter if I didn't have hardly anything in my purse. I found something, or I got money, or we came back because I wanted them to understand the gift of giving. And so as I entered the store a couple days back, I was like, you know what? How many people just walk by and don't even really know what happens with this money that goes into the red kettle? And as I came out, of course, I dropped my donation in. And it just feels so good to give. It really does. But if we don't train ourselves to do that, I do believe we are naturally, it's within our DNA to give. But it's the actions that we see that overrides the written DNA. And so it's important for us as parents to, number one, lead by Christ's example. The story of Christmas begins with the humble birth of Jesus, where God shows us his unconditional love for humanity. And as parents, we get to emulate Christ's teaching by embodying compassion, kindness, and generosity in our daily lives. Just as God gave us his greatest gift, we can teach our children to give selflessly to others. But are we doing that? And in what manner are we doing it? Are we doing it out of guilt? Like, oh, you have to? No. You get to. You want to have this attitude of, I get to serve. I get to give. So invite your children to participate in acts of service. Allow them, even if it's just a penny. I kid you not. It doesn't have to be much. But give them that one penny, that nickel, that dime, and let them walk up to that red kettle and drop it in. Let them hear it hit. Now, sometimes it doesn't always hit the bottom because there's dollar bills in there. So it makes it a little bit more challenging because you want them to hear it go. It doesn't always happen. That's okay. But every single time they have that moment to give, you are writing something on their heart forever. Now, you can stretch this beyond giving to the red kettles, right? You can volunteer at a local shelter. You can donate toys to the underprivileged children. You can help an elderly neighbor decorate for Christmas. When you think about all these different actions that you can do and that you can show because you're leading by Christ's example, children learn to share Christ's love through their actions, through their deeds, which in turn is given from their heart. But you see, that's the thing. We have to lead them. We have to teach them. So don't shy away from it. I know it's easy to kind of escape from that because there is so much on your to-do list. I get it. Yesterday, I had like 3 things added to my list that I had no idea was going to happen, and everything else got pushed to the side. But let me tell you, if I didn't do it then, it wasn't going to happen. It would have been another month or 2. And what I needed to do that happened as a spur of the moment was a God wink, and it was smooth as silk. It needed to happen at that moment. Sometimes we have to do in order for us to be. Number 2, cultivate the fruit of the Spirit. You know, Christmas is a season of faith and hope and lots of love. And it's highlighted in the fruit of the Spirit, right? In the Bible, in Galatians. Encouraging children to embody these virtues, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. It enables them to become vessels of God's grace. Again, being the hands and feet of Jesus. Teach your children to bear the fruit of the Spirit in their interactions with others. And when they do that, what do you think they're doing? Seriously. Do you think they're just kind of like, oh, they're just doing whatever? No, they're spreading the light of Jesus Christ. And they don't have to say anything. They don't have to say, oh, by the way, we're doing this because of Jesus. If they're old enough to understand that, of course they can have that conversation. But I'm telling you, an 18-month-old, even a 13-month-old that can take a quarter, maybe go a little bit bigger, a $50, right? And go put it in the little kettle, that can change the world. And every year, you teach them to bear the fruit of the Spirit. So engage your children in crafting homemade cards. Maybe it's for the elderly. Maybe it's for those who are serving our country and we need to send Christmas cards overseas. Maybe it's singing Christmas carols at a nursing home. Oh, I remember those days. I love that. When we homeschooled our kiddos, that's what we would do. We even took our church kiddos to the nursing home, and we actually did our mini Broadway musicals there at the nursing homes. It was that important. Maybe it's baking treats for frontline workers or taking it to your local fire department and saying, hey, here you go. Thanks so much. How many times have you heard the fire truck go by already this year? During this season, every single time I hear the sirens, it just gives me shivers. Why? Because I'm concerned that somebody's house is burning down. We put up lights. We put up things that we don't always check. And there's fires. I don't like to hear those sirens. But what I do like is that the people who love our community enough to serve in that manner, to spread the good news, be the light for others, give the gift of giving. And finally, number 3, you've got to be the light of Christ. Just as candles illuminate the darkness, our acts of kindness and generosity can bring hope and warmth to those in need. So inspire your children to be these beacons of Christ, his light, not their own. Giving is not about us. It's about God. And we can extend that grace and mercy and love to others. No, it's not easy. But let your children shine brightly with the love of God, bringing warmth and comfort to those around them. It's kind of hard not to smile back to a young child smiling at you. Their heart just kind of bounces out of their chest and you don't even know it. Maybe you need to think about creating a family tradition of performing random acts of kindness throughout the Christmas season. Maybe it's donating to a charitable cause. Maybe you're getting ready for Christmas and you know new toys or things are coming into the house. Why not go to the current toy box or the game center or wherever it is and say, what can you donate to those in need? What do you not need to make room for a few other things? Number 1, it declutters your house. Number 2, and really it's more like the star of the show, you're giving to others who need it. Maybe you can deliver meals to the homeless. Maybe you can serve actually on Christmas. It's one of my favorite things to do. I did that when I was in college one year, and I went with my cousin to the local food shelter. And we went down there, and oh my goodness, it was freezing. And I thought, if I'm cold, I can only imagine how cold they are. But we served for a whole half a day. I don't know, day and a half, not a day and a half, but 3/4 of a day. I mean, it was a long time, but it was the best time I had. And it was one of those Christmases I will never forget. What is it for you? What can you do to create a family tradition of giving, of random acts of kindness? Encourage your children to be those channels of God's love and becoming this light in a world that needs it most. We live in a dark world, but let me tell you, your children's hearts, oh, they can shine so bright. So helping your child go from taker to giver, remember this, it's a gradual process and it requires nurturing, guidance, oh yes, and continuous reinforcement. Sometimes you got to lay down the gauntlet. Yes, meaning you've got to be consistent. You may not want to do it, but you've got to show them anyway that you go and do it. So keep repeating. It's not going to happen overnight. You've got to repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. That selfless gifts of giving. That's what you want. And as we go into the season, the reason of the season is what? It's not about the gifts, but the gift that we were given, the birth of Jesus Christ and the gift of salvation. May we reflect and take time to know his love for us and nurture a spirit of generosity and service in our own children. And when we look to God as he gave us his son and as Jesus Christ was our example, cultivate the fruit of the Spirit, spread his light to others, and bring kindness to those in need. Because that's when you empower your children to embrace the true meaning of Christmas and embody God's love in all they do. That, mom and dad, is the real reason for this season. Go in peace, be present, be incredible, be you. I love you so very much. I cannot wait to see you on the other side. Blessings, hugs, and lots of love. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a glorious, blessed weekend. Bye-bye.
Feeling inspired, ready to train for life and love your journey? Visit createyournow.com for more incredible resources to help you along the way. We'll see you next time on Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie. And remember, always be sure you consult your physician before beginning any health and fitness plan.